Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today I'm doing a tribute segment to actress Lynn Hamilton, who sadly passed away just recently. Lynn Hamilton was a veteran actress who was born April 25th, 1930 in Yazoo City, Mississippi. She made her film debut in Shadows, directed by John Cassavetes, and she may be best known for her role as Donna Harris, a licensed practical nurse and girlfriend of Fred Sanford in Sanford and Son from 1972 to 1977. She also had a recurring role as Verdie on The Waltons and made numerous appearances on such television sitcoms, soap operas, and miniseries, including Dangerous Women, 227, Generations, Port Charles, Roots, The Next Generations, and The Golden Girls. In Generations, she did 132 episodes as Vivian Porter. Lynn's years on Sanford and Son, 1972 to 1977, paralleled our first 5 seasons of The Waltons and is likely why we didn't see Verdie in more episodes of The Waltons, because she also had this commitment to Sanford and Son. So I don't know how often they might have had potential conflicts over her availability, but we were thrilled to have her with us whenever we were able to work it out with her other various different demands. She was in demand as an actress. The character of Verdie Grant was introduced in the season 1 episode, The Scholar. And in the book, Goodnight, John Boy, writer John McGreevy had this to say about the episode. This was a story I had long wanted to tell. This would be an adult who can't read or write and finds herself in a situation where the secret will be an excruciating embarrassment. So John Boy teaches the person to read and write. This is a woman, a mother, who dreads embarrassing a daughter about to graduate from college up north. I remember that story conference with Earl and story editor Carol McKeon. As we talked, I had a daring thought. Suppose the woman is Black. This is Virginia, after all. And so the first African-American character joined the Waltons' extended family and stayed. Lynn Hamilton became Verdie Grant, and we had remained close friends. And then this is what Lynn herself had to say about The Scholar. This was my favorite episode for several reasons. In it, my character, Verdie Grant, was introduced in John McGreevy's beautifully crafted, poignant, and entertaining script, for which he justly won an Emmy. Verdie could neither read nor write and spent most of her time trying to hide that fact. When the time came when she could no longer hide, John Boy agreed to tutor her. A whole new world opened up and her life began anew. This story inspired many people, adults and young dropouts, to continue their education. That it's never too late to learn, that one is never too old to learn, and that is the best gift you can give yourself. And then Earl shared this. In the role of Verdie Grant, we were fortunate to be able to cast Miss Lynn Hamilton. Fans will remember Lynn's memorable appearances as a regular on Sanford and Son, as well as the distinguished miniseries Roots, in which she co-starred. She presently makes her home in Los Angeles and is married to the poet Frank Jenkins. When she is not busy acting, Lynn loves to travel, and under President Kennedy's cultural exchange program, she toured Europe, Central America, and South America. Lynn was scheduled to appear in only 1 episode of the series, but her presence was so warm and her personality so engaging, we persuaded her to become a permanent member of the cast and to remain on the series for the run of the show. And we are so glad that she did. Over the course of the series, Lynn appeared in 17 episodes, starting in season 1 with The Scholar and the Bicycle. Then in season 2, she was in the episode The Roots, where we saw her flirtatious side and her willingness to go after what she wants when she meets Harley Foster and his son Jody and considers him a good man and one that she feels is an equal partner to her. And she is successful in that endeavor. And then we had the wonderful Hal Williams, who joined the cast as her husband, Harley Foster. In The Fighter, she helped nurse James back to health after he had been badly injured in his very unfair boxing match. Then in season 5, Verdie came back once more in the episode The Best Christmas. She also then was in the episode The Rebellion, where Olivia has a perm that goes very wrong, and in trying to figure out what to do with this curly mess on her head, she has this idea that she will go speak with Verdie because she understands that the African American hair is often very curly, and perhaps Verdie has a secret, and Verdie gets a chuckle out of that, and fortunately is not offended and has a sense of humor about it, and says she doesn't have an answer for Olivia, but she can show her how to wrap her hair until it is sort of back to more of its natural state. In season 6, in the episode The Stray, when young Josh, an orphaned boy, appears at the Waltons' house, and although he and John really bond together, John recognizes the difficulties of, as a white family, adopting a young black boy, and feels that Josh would be better to be in the home of a black family. And Verdie speaks with Harley, and they agree to adopt him. And as she says, she's going to raise him as a proud black man. And the festival, where her concern as a mother over Josh having this opportunity to play the trumpet at a festival that Jason is involved with. Jason wants to include him. And there is concern with both her and Harley that their son won't be accepted and that it will be an uncomfortable situation. And Harley feels Josh should stick to his own kind. Verdie is torn between the thought that she wants to protect her son, but she also is always one to be fighting against the status quo and leaving things and taking the safe route. So she ultimately does encourage Josh to pursue it, and ultimately he finds acceptance and appreciation within the community as Jason organizes their own festival. With Jason in the family tree and Grandpa, she gets assistance in digging up her own roots and her own family tree, which she feels she's missing too much information about. And she ultimately discovers that her ancestors were brought over and were slaves. So although this is a difficult truth for her, it also, through pursuing this path, and with the help of Jason and Grandpa, she is able to help fill this void in her own family tree. As we moved into season 7, she appeared in the episode The Illusion, when her daughter Esther has graduated college and comes back to Waltons Mountain and is having a difficult time getting work. She's overqualified, and Verdie has this struggle and conflict with her daughter. Esther in some ways resents that her mother pushed her to sort of rise above her station, and now she's left sort of nowhere. Whereas Verdie maybe has some doubts about whether she pushed too hard, whether it was the right decision, but she also has never been willing to accept that things have to be the way they are, and realizes that if no one pushes those boundaries, change will not happen. And ultimately there is a successful ending of the situation for Esther, and she gets that wonderful job at Pickett's with the help of Aaron. I loved having the opportunity to have a little storyline with Lynn in Day of Infamy, when both she and I are dealing with family members, my husband Kurt and her son Jody, who are both at Pearl Harbor, and we wait for news of the outcome of their well-being, and ultimately we discover that Jody is fine and Kurt was killed. So those scenes that I got to play with her were just so special to me. I always loved having the opportunity to have that connection with her on screen, because I felt very connected to her off screen. Season 8, she appeared once in the episode The Prodigals, and in season 9, she did 2 last episodes. The Outrage, a 2-part episode that started season 9, where we find out that Harley has been accused of murder and is kind of on the run. And Verdie totally believes in him and his innocence and stands behind him and is there to support him through this difficult time. And then in the episode The Hot Rod, Jim Bob and Jody, back from the war, have decided to open up a garage together. And she and Harley, as parents, are very proud and support them in that decision. We were thrilled to have Lynn back in 2 of our subsequent reunion movies, in A Walton Thanksgiving in 1993, and then again in our final episode, A Walton Easter, where she and Olivia had a number of very sweet scenes together as we approached the celebration of Easter. All of that was the on-screen presence of Lynn as Verdie Grant Foster, which all of you were able to see and experience for yourselves how wonderful she was on screen. And when I posted about the sad news of her passing, I'd had a call from Hal Williams, and he had told me that he had had a call from Lynn's daughter, letting her know that Lynn had passed away peacefully in her sleep. She had turned 95 in April, and she had been suffering for dementia for a number of years, which is why when you asked me, could I have her as a guest, that really wasn't possible. Her health didn't make that possible, but Hal had stayed in touch with her over the years. They were very close friends. He checked in with her, he spoke with her, and was just always there as part of her life. They were very bonded. So when I posted that, there were so many lovely comments about Lynn and what her work meant to you as viewers, how much her portrayal of Verdie meant, and to those of you in the Black community, what that character represented. And as she spoke in terms of the literacy aspect, how things like that, those storylines were important to so many of you in terms of the messaging. So her portrayal of a strong, independent Black woman in the 1930s and 40s, how it helped impact and raise up her community, and how her character also fought to advance her people's cause in life. So I was very touched by how much you viewers loved and felt the impact of her work on the screen. She had such a wonderful presence on screen and a beautiful smile that lit her up from the inside. She had integrity, class, pride, kindness, and she just embraced you with her warmth. And she was truly a woman of grace on and off screen. And I loved her dearly on and off screen. We exchanged Christmas cards for years, from her and her husband Frank, and from my family. And so I always felt, even when I didn't see her for years at a time, I always was aware of having this connection to her, and knew that when we did see each other again, we just picked right up. And some of the last events I remember attending with her were a Walton event in New Jersey, and also one in LA. These were both for the 40th anniversary of the Waltons. In this photo from the event in New Jersey, where we screened the homecoming and then did a panel question and answer, and then we signed some autographs and took pictures. This group picture of the cast that was there includes, in the back row from left to right, Cammie, David, Mary, John, Ellen Gear, and Radimus Para. In the front row, left to right, is Eric, David Huddleston, who was in The Literary Man, and also in The Homecoming as Sheriff Bridges. And next to David Huddleston is me, and then Michael Learned, and on the end there in the front is Lynn Hamilton. This other very large gathering is from the Waltons' 40th reunion that was held in Los Angeles in 2012. And you see Lynn there once again in the front row. Lynn was an incredibly special person and someone I considered very dear in my life. And I never heard her say a bad word about anyone. And she always had a smile on her face. whenever she came and worked on our show, she was just so great to have around the set, and she was just always so kind to everybody, and always loved talking with her, spending time with her. And, I sort of kept track of her as much as I could over the years, and was just incredibly sad, despite knowing that she had not been well and that she was getting up there in years. It's still, no matter how much you know it's coming, it's still incredibly hard to lose someone that you love. So thank you very much for all of your outpouring of love for Lynn. And I'm sure it means a lot to her family, and it certainly means a lot to us, her TV family. So thank you very much for sharing this moment of tribute to Lynn and helping me to say goodnight, Verdie. I will see you next time for more behind the scenes of the Waltons. Thank you for watching.